Then the next one is the stratified columnar epithelium. Okay? This is several layers of column or elongated cells. Usually, again, I only see 2 layers of these. Okay? And they're found only in a few places in the body. The vas deferens, that's in the male reproductive system, part of the male urethra, and then the back of the throat, the pharynx, parts of the pharynx, which is back here at the back between your nose and your mouth, it's the very back of your throat. Okay? So that's the only place really, mostly, that you'll find it. Okay? Now, when you look at it, oh, there we go. Check it out. You can actually see one bottom layer and then the layer up above it. That's just kind of scrabble because it's kind of flipping and flopping a little bit. But there are actually 2 distinct layers right up in here. Okay? So this is stratified columnar epithelium. Okay? Now, the 8th kind of epithelium, okay? The 8th kind out of 9 is transitional. Transitional is found primarily in one place, okay? And it's designed to stretch and go back to normal. It's literally like, here, it's literally like having one of these guys, a rubber band. Rubber bands you can take and you can stretch them, and then when you release the pressure, they should go back to normal. This is what your bladder is. When your bladder fills with urine, it starts to stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. If it stretches enough, your body sends a signal, hey, it's time to empty your bladder. And when you empty it, the bladder goes back to its normal size. Okay? And it's called transitional because it transitions from one length to the next. So it's constantly doing this. Okay? And that's a good thing. We want that because if it didn't, urine, this is the gross part, if it didn't stretch, urine would actually diffuse. It would, what's the nice way of saying it? Ooze. Ew, it just sounds gross, right? It would ooze into your abdominal cavity. You don't want urine inside your abdominal cavity. It wouldn't be good. It would actually be deadly because it would poison you slowly and you would die from that. Okay? So when we look at it, again, it's kind of hard to see this because, again, it changes shape. But before, you can see it, it's kind of all smooshed together. But when you stretch it, you can see what happens when you stretch it. It stretches out, it pulls like that. And then when you relax it, it just kind of goes back up together, all together. So that's the cool part about transitional epithelium. It will stretch and then go back to its original shape. Okay? Now, the last type of epithelium, the last type anyway, excuse me, is glandular. Duh, glands, right? This is where you're going to find this type of epithelium. Okay? And its primary job is to secrete chemicals, whatever those chemicals are, hormones or other materials, into the body somehow. Okay? So they're designed to secrete these chemicals into the body or into a duct. Okay? Now, there are 3 different kinds of glandular epithelium. Okay, as far as glands. There are those called neurocrine. They release just fluids. It releases a fluid out into the body. You'll find that in the pancreas. Okay? Now, the apocrine glands release pieces, as you see up there, of cell bodies. It's not the entire cell that's going into this fluid. It's just chunks of cell parts, cell pieces that go up into that fluid that's being released. Now, the thing is, you'll find that primarily in the mammary glands, okay? And there are other places, but that's the main one that we think of. And then the last one is holocrine glands. They release entire cells. Whole cells come out into this material as it releases, this gland does. And the most common example is sebaceous glands. That's a big fancy word for oil glands. So like the oil in your skin up here and here, and when it releases oil, and you get this oily film on your skin, that oil in it has cells in it, okay? And it releases whole, solid cells, okay? So, You can see again the picture here, the merocrine is just releasing chemicals. Let me blow it up so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. The merocrine is releasing little particles, materials, and that again the pancreas. The apocrine is releasing little chunks. You can see little chunks of cells, not a whole cell, into this fluid. That's again found in the mammary tissue. And then over here, the holocrine glands in your sebaceous gland by your hair follicles is releasing whole cells that eventually break apart as they go out. So that's the three types of those glands. Okay. Now, guys, this is as far as we got on Thursday. When we get back, hopefully everyone will be back on Tuesday after the holiday, and then we will continue looking at the different kinds of tissues. We'll look at muscle and nervous, and then connective tissue, okay? So, if you have any questions, again, don't forget to email me. That way we can keep up with that. Hopefully, again, by Tuesday, everybody will basically be back, and we won't have to worry about that anymore. So, but again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and we'll see you hopefully on Tuesday.